Nope.
Item, okay. We'll move on to the next item, which is review of progress on district initiatives.
This year we added a number of collaboration days throughout the year, and to kind of gauge where we were at and how we were doing with those days, we surveyed the staff at the end of first quarter and then at the end of the year to see what growth we've made on our district initiatives. The surveys were given to elementary core teachers, the middle school and high school core teachers, and special education and our guidance, music, art, FIAD, and librarians. The results have been embedded in the agenda for you. There's a chart there. You can see the difference between the end of first quarter and the end of the year one. We asked questions on the district initiatives, and those district initiatives were PLC, professional learning communities, too many acronyms in education, RTI, PBIS, Daily 5, and Math Expressions. The chart indicates the growth or lack of growth in each of those initiative areas. In the area of professional learning community, the district has been doing a professional learning community and that's the top one there. We have been doing this for a number of years. What I gathered from this is, at this point, it's something that we need to bring back to the forefront, bring back the terminology, because we have a number of new staff, and also if you don't keep it in the forefront, I think you lose the feeling of that. So not disappointed with the results, but I would like to see higher results. Some good things that I saw out of that. It's great that 90% of our elementary staff believe that all kids can learn. That's great to know that. There's 96% of our specials, our music and art, feel that all kids can learn. Those are a nice high number. So with professional learning community, I would really like to see us just start living that stronger and bringing it more to the forefront. RTI, this is rather new to us. This is probably our second year in the RTI program. The things that stuck out in my mind, we had definitely an increase in database decision-making, collaboration at the elementary level, rigorous curriculum at the middle school and high school, and benchmark screening at all levels. This shows that we're finally using data to make our decisions. We're not just going on what I call cardiac assessment. I just know it feels well. It's here. I know we're doing well. But we're actually using the data now to show that we're moving in the right direction. So RTI, I think, is moving in a positive note. PBIS, this is another area that the district has been doing for several years. We need to keep emphasizing it. I think you can see through the results that we are gaining less referrals in all that area, but significant increases have been in the area at the elementary. Looking at the 5-point scale, reviewing the data, once again, those are significant increases that we made throughout the year. At the middle school and high school level, we made not real significant gains in those areas, but I think we're seeing those areas hopefully in future years grow. Daily 5 was something we surveyed only elementary staff, and this is something that, if you remember at the beginning of the year, we were hoping to only get to read to self and read to someone this year. Those were the two areas that we were proposing that teachers really work on. I was very pleased to see that not only were we doing the read to self, read to someone, and that teachers were feeling very comfortable with that, but we went above and beyond that. The teachers are now feeling even comfortable with listening to reading aspect of that, with the word work, and the writing. Each of those made huge increases. So throughout the year, they're feeling comfortable with the Daily 5 process and being able to use it. So that one I was very happy with. Math Expressions was another area that we only surveyed the elementary because it's only an elementary initiative. Slight increases in most areas there. One thing I will say that Math Expressions is now coming out with a new textbook, a new series, and it's directly in line with the new Common Core State Standards, eliminating units that are no longer necessary. I think once that is out and we go to that, I think you're going to see even more comfort level with this and a stronger increase. But I think at this point, teachers are still trying to figure out what do I need, what do I not need, and directly in line with the Common Core State Standards, and I think the new series will change that. So those are the results of that. I don't know, Cindy, if you wanted me to go into some of the collaboration.
Yeah, we'll get to one other thing in regard to these survey results. Teachers could also make comments. So those are probably as important for us administratively to look at, the comments that teachers made in terms of what they believe they need to move forward. And so our building administrators are looking at specifically their buildings, the comments from teachers there, so that we can plan again for professional development and for our collaboration days next year, providing teachers with the things that they feel they need, the information, the tools to move them forward. So overall, we're very pleased with the results and the gains that are being made with these initiatives. And we've stressed to teachers, these are the fundamental programs, policies, the whole belief system that needs to be in place in order for student achievement to improve. Ms. Barish, mentioned 90% of the teachers feel all kids can learn. We need to get that to 100%. Every teacher in the classroom has to believe that every child can learn. So those are things that we have to keep plugging away at. So now if you want to go into the collaboration.
At the end of the collaboration this year, we had this teachers fill out a form, and basically the form asks simple questions of name 3 things that you felt went well with collaboration this year, 3 things that we still need to work on for next year, and then give us any input. I just want to report out a few of the highlights. At the elementary level, overall, most of the elementary, when I talk 4K through 5th grade and including our title, has been working on the Common Core state standards this year, and they all indicated that was the highlight, being able to talk about the curriculum, being able to talk about the standards and how that curriculum tied with it, and get everybody involved instead of in the past where one person was representing and came back to the committee. They now have everybody involved in that. Overall, all of them would like to continue with that collaboration next year, continue with the more in-depth look at the Common Core state standards, both in English language arts and math. At the middle school level, what we saw was maybe a little more diverse, but they were also looking at the Common Core state standards, but reading was looking at using data to help better inform their decisions. And they're hoping next year to be able to take the data that they've gained this year and tie that into the curriculum in the areas that they need to improve in their curriculum. Looking at math this year, was very happy at the middle school to be able to use Ames Web, which is a program, a web-based program that we bought, an assessment program to help them see where kids are at and pinpoint what areas they need specific work on for the kids. Looking at the high school level, the English department worked very hard this year, and the one thing that they came out of it was sharing best practices. For the first time they could get together and share best practices as a department. They're hoping next year to continue with the Common Core state standards and the Curriculum Companion, which is a program we bought to help us unpack those standards. Looking at science, they were very happy to have the collaboration time this year with the new science teachers and be able to bring them in a kind of more of an informal mentoring way. And they're looking at next year ways to improve their reading strategies of students to help them not only be able to read in science, but in all areas. So now we're looking at cross-curricular. In some of the related arts areas, our Ag department created an advisory committee. Our Family Consumer Science was working on curriculum. World Languages, we're working on some common assessments. And World Language now is looking at ways next year that with the Common Core state standards, how does that tie into their areas of reading that. Our exercise and sports science, of course, Wolf curriculum was a big focus for them this year, and they worked very collaboratively not only with their department but with the hospital, nutritionists, and things like that to develop that curriculum. So overall, the additional days, I feel, have been very beneficial, and I know that in my talking and dealings with teachers, they would like to continue with it and continue to focus on curriculum and instructional decisions.
Thank you very much. I looked through, it was a little tedious to go through all of them, but I looked through all those, all the documentation of progress reports. And, I have to say, I thought those were very insightful in what's going on, and my request or hope is that there's some pretty specific follow-up. There were very, very focused, specific requests in those things where people were said, okay, this is what we did, but this is where we didn't get support, or this is where your request didn't make much sense, or this is what we need to do next year. And I hope if they've gone to the trouble to do this collaboration and write up these reports, that we go to some trouble to follow up on each one specifically, because each grade level, each department had some very individualized needs, and you could see it reflected, some people were nervous, some people were comfortable, some people were optimistic, some people were a little scared, and I think it really provided some little insight to different grades, different departments, and I think depending on how we respond to that, it could be very helpful or harmful. Do you sort of get what I'm saying?
I absolutely agree. If we ask them for information and then don't act on it, why did we ask the question?
Yeah.
So it's very important, and that will be part of what we're working on at our administrative retreat this summer, to answer those questions and get that information out to staff.
Especially in light of the fact that the phrases that were repeated the most often were Common Core standards, Common Core assessments, and you could really get a sense they want to deal with that, and they need some help, and they're trying to work through that, and to the extent we can help with that.
And I think the curriculum companion will do that, a great deal of that. The curriculum companion has unpacked the standards for them, so it puts them in a language that they can understand. The problem with the Common Core state standards is you can interpret them in numerous different ways. The curriculum companion has unpacked those for us to clearly understand what knowledge and skills are expected in that standard, what vocabulary the teacher needs to know, what vocabulary the student needs to know to be successful on that standard. So that is something that they have not had an opportunity yet. Next fall, each department will have one person trained as the person in charge of that, developing our curriculum part of it. And when I say our curriculum part of it, we have to put our resources in there, our assessments in there. So there are some things that we still have to do. So,
okay. That's great. I think it reflects that the collaboration was helpful. Accomplished something. I think it was worth taking the time to do that, and it seems like it's you had hopes that it would accomplish many different things, and when you read all of their concerns and how much it got them to thinking about different things, I think it's working. I think it's a good thing.
Well, and I think the calendar that was developed this year that we're implementing again next year, has about, I think it's 11 times when teachers get together for 2-hour blocks. Last year, we had 5 scheduled, and because of snow days, they only had 3 times. So we tripled the amount of time of our staff coming together to talk about the Common Core standards, curriculum, their teaching strategies, what's working, what's not working, and you need that time for them to feel comfortable with one another, to begin opening up and sharing, and I think we're really on the right path to improving instruction by people, again, looking at their assessments, the results of those assessments, and then changing their practice based on what they see is working with kids.
Yeah, great.
And one of the areas they talked about all the new initiatives, but it seems like we've focused in on the initiatives that we want to work on for a while, the PBIS, the RTI, and the professional learning communities. And
when you look at the chart I gave up at first, professional learning community is a way of life for us. That needs to always be.
Right.
RTI, PBIS is something that we have to get to that point. It has to become a way of life, and we're still in the infant stages of both of those, so it's still a little more work than it will eventually be. Daily 5 and math expressions at the elementary level, that's going to be part of our curriculum. So, yes, I don't believe we need to add any more initiatives. We need to focus on what we have, because we talk about data, we talk about all these things, but until we truly see these initiatives over at least a 5-year period, we don't know if it's the initiative or what it is that's causing the data to increase or decrease. So we need to see that long-term time before we can see the increase.
at the secondary level, it seems like the initiatives that we have made a difference, and we don't need to probably add any more. We've done so many over the last few years. I think probably some of the teachers were feeling overwhelmed, and
I think at the secondary level, it's the opportunity finally to get your entire department together. You know, at the high school level or at the middle school, they don't always have that opportunity to get all the science teachers together or all the English teachers together and have that opportunity to share best practices, to share your common assessments and say, why did your kids do well on this and mine didn't? How did you teach this unit so that everybody can grow from it? So that's something that I see at the secondary level is something that's going to definitely need to continue. It's going to base off common assessments and the data we gain from them.
It seems like whenever a group has come that has rewritten or done more work on their curriculum, that they really enjoy that time they've spent together, and it's been really beneficial for them. And that can only improve when you're going through more of those Common Core standards that you have to change and relate to. So.
Yeah. The departments, I think, really want to do curriculum as an entire department, not just one representative.
And I think that's
because
important.
everybody that understands it, they have a clear picture. Because I can give you a document and you can interpret it one way, and someone else can interpret it another way. But if you've been in on the dialogue, that's where you gain the knowledge, and that's where we will gain the improvement in education.
Thank you very much.